What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Fabian, coming back with another video on Lucid. Before we begin, I want to remind you guys I am not a financial advisor. Nothing that you hear or see on my channel should be considered financial advice. With that being said, this video is not really about the stock per se. It's just more of a review of what Jay Leno had to say about the Lucid Aerodynamics edition, right? So he recently test drove it, and I just kind of wanted to make a quick video on his response and kind of give you guys my take on it. So without further ado, this is going to be a little bit of a longer one, but let's go ahead and just watch this.
Yeah. You feel that mid-range punch, you see, it just wants to go.
No matter how bad a day you're having, that will cure it. And look at that.
You feel the agility and the response in these bends?
Really good.
It's a sports car.
It's really good.
I'm glad you like it.
Welcome to the episode of Jay Leno's Garage. Something kind of cool today.
So that was just like a little
Motor Trend 2022 car of the year. This is the Lucid Air Dream Performance Edition. This is a car you've heard an awful lot about in the last year or so. It's been in development for about 7 of those years. And I've known about it, and occasionally I would see it at car shows, but you couldn't drive it. And I thought, well, I don't want to do anything with it until we can actually drive it, until it's out there being delivered to customers. And now they are. They're going to deliver about 500 cars this year. As you can see, it's a good-looking car.
Gonna deliver about 500 cars this year. Okay. Well, it depends on when this thing was shot, right? If it was shot maybe before the year ended, then maybe that's why he's saying they're gonna deliver about 500. Seems kind of weird that he would say it like that. We're already in the new year. I'll have to look into that a little more.
Much like the Tesla, of course, started the wave, which I think is great. You know, competition is what America is all about. I mean, Chevy got better because of Ford. Ford got better because of Chevy.
That's right.
I like the fact that, you know, since 1915, we've lost 350 automobile companies in America. Most recently, Pontiac, and Oldsmobile, you know, Saturn.
That's crazy, man. So that lets you know that it's not easy to make it in the car market, right? I mean, look at all those companies that have come and gone. So for those of us Lucid Airs that are holding on, we know it's not going to be easy, right? Let's go ahead and play this.
Now, for the first time, we have new car companies coming in. We have McLaren is fairly recent, Tesla, of course, Lucid, Rivian. I mean, there are more and more coming, and I think it's exciting. I love the fact that it's built in America, in Arizona, using American workers. And for the most part, I'm sure there's a couple of non-locally sourced parts, but yeah, American know-how.
That's going to happen with every car.
Workforce and American ingenuity. Let's meet Derek Jenkins. You're the VP of design, correct?
That's right.
That's good. Well, nice job. It looks great. So tell us, how did you come to be associated with this?
You know, early on, I'm fortunate. Had a long career as a designer in the auto industry, and had done a lot of gas vehicles, but never had the chance to actually work on an electric car. I was fortunate enough to have met Peter Rawlinson, former chief engineer of Tesla Model S. We really hit it off in terms of design and engineering, finding that balance. And that was 6.5 years ago, and we've been pushing like crazy ever since.
Was that scary for you? Because let's face it, startups don't have the best record of, I mean, 1,000 start out and 2 or 3 actually make
That's
it.
True.
What made you so confident this would be the way to go?
I mean, it was a range of things.
This is a good one.
I'm close friends with a lot of Tesla folks, and Franz over that runs design there. Truly impressed with what they've been able to achieve, and I had reached a point where it was like, to do another gas car, you know, this was 2015. I felt like I felt like there's something big happening, something in the water, and so I took the plunge. I look back, and it's kind of like pretty scary. My wife thought I was crazy,
right?
You know, but you know, we really believe that now's the time.
So as the designer, not being internal combustion opens up all kinds of things. You don't have to have a radiator this high off the ground. You don't have to have air
That's
flowing
true.
through, you know, all those type of things.
Yeah.
Is it easier to design an electric car than it is a gas
No
car?
oil
About the
changes.
same.
I mean, it's different. It's just different. I think, even in the beginning, I didn't even fully realize the profound differences and you had to embrace those. And there's a lot of conversations with Peter about this and how we could really optimize the footprint of the vehicle, the space inside the vehicle versus the overall length of the car, and what aesthetic form language should represent that. You know, I really believe strongly that the form language has to express what the vehicle's capable of and what its strengths are. And so what does that mean in this new electric era? How do we tap into that?
Right. I know when I have a McLaren SLR over there, and like the Toyota LFA,
Nice.
when they were developed,
That
carbon
That's the
fiber was
Lexus
still
LFA, right?
in its infancy.
Also nice.
The dual clutch transmission really had not come in. So by the time those cars were done, they had standard non-dual clutch. They just seemed old-fashioned.
Right.
You know, as you were doing this, was the technology moving faster at the time? Like, yeah, throw that out.
Sure.
Because now we have this. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I mean, just range. I mean, when I bought my first electric car in 2015. 212 miles. Whew, that's unbelievable.
Totally.
You know, now we're at 500, 600 in many
520.
cases, whatever it might be.
Absolutely.
So as a designer, were there constant changes because of technology?
Yes, certainly. I mean, we had a period even throughout the development of this vehicle where we altered our motor layout and were able to make that even more compact.
That's
That
crazy.
created even more space opportunities in the
These things are all getting smaller and smaller.
That grew. Our lighting technology, there was a lot of innovation throughout the project, and we were able to start with lights about this big and slim them down even further. They became more compact. That opened up more space in the frunk. There's just a kind of
front.
chain reaction
always
that
make
happens
that.
as the technology evolves.
front.
If you embrace that, especially from a design standpoint, it results in a new aesthetic. And so that's to me the ultimate balance of form and function. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you seem to be more luxury oriented. The Tesla, I have the Plaid.
Yeah.
I bought it because
Of course
it's
he has the
hysterical. It's the
Plaid.
fastest accelerating vehicle you can
That's
get.
your money
You can blow
bags
up
right
Bugatti
there.
Chirons and Porsche 911. It just makes me laugh. It's a four-door. I don't really care about all, you know, I drove the EQS Mercedes, very nice, but I don't need the hot and cold stone massage seats. That doesn't really work. You know, I don't really need that part. I just like the performance.
Why
How
not?
did you decide that you were going to be really the top of the luxury market? That's where you are with this, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like through a lot of discussion and soul searching with the team and with Peter, we felt like the best opportunity to advance the technology would be to come into the luxury space.
Right.
We can have a higher price point, we can put more tech in the car, and then the other
thing
side
of
of
beauty,
that was,
man. Look at that thing.
if we really are serious about pushing EV to a larger audience, you would say, oh, well, it's more expensive. How many people can actually afford that? But the whole point is, with a luxury product, you make it aspirational to everybody.
Right.
Yeah. And even though only a small market can afford it, it becomes something aspirational, inspires people, and then we bring the price down over time. And I think that is a great position for Lucid to sit.
Well, I remember when anti-lock brakes came out, I think Lincoln was one of the first to have it.
Yes.
So they started at the top, and then
Jay
rich
Leno's
people have it. I guess it
getting
must
up
be-
there in age,
You know, and then it
man.
kind of
He's
works
getting
all
up
its way
there.
down.
Yeah.
To become the standard feature. Well, I must say you did an excellent job. It's a good-looking car. I find it fascinating
It's
that
a
you've gone a
beautiful car.
two-tone
Look at that
route on a
thing.
lot of the cars. Are they all two-tone, or can you get
Right
I like
now
the
they
black
are.
of the blue.
We've gone
They're
this
still
route
nice.
with the aluminum rail finishes.
Nice.
Is this just on the Dream Edition?
The
No,
glass.
this is standard on Dream Edition, Grand Touring, and is
That
available
glass
on the
top.
touring level.
Beautiful
And then
glass.
from the base touring down to the Pure, which is our base model, it'll be body color.
Now, does this sunroof open?
No, it's a fully fixed roof with.
And then it changes, it gets darker, and
It doesn't. No, it's
no.
a fixed tint, but it does have a radiant heat protection, stays cool in the sunlight.
It seems longer, but is it about the same
important,
wheelbase
man.
as
You
a
don't
Model
wanna
S?
cook.
It's actually a few millimeters
You don't want to be
shorter.
sitting in your car
really?
cooking.
Yeah, and
It's a little bit
in
shorter
both length
than the
and
Model S.
wheelbase, as well as even it's smaller than a Porsche Taycan.
Well, it looks like you have a lot more leg room in the back.
Well, this is really where the space concept
I've seen
comes
it
in because we're really
in person.
optimizing the interior space.
Really roomy in there, man.
And we're more in line with a long wheelbase S-Class Mercedes in terms of rear footroom. It's actually slightly more, but the overall size is really mid-size in length, and therein lies the advantage of EV.
So there's more room in the car, but the car is not longer.
It's
That's
all
good.
aluminum. It's an all aluminum body shell.
That's important.
Helps keep the weight down.
So these are what, about 5,500 pounds, something about the same as. That's what they all are now.
I think my Lexus
especially with
RCF
an
weighs a
EV,
little more than that.
batteries are not lightweight.
And how many batteries do you use? Do you know?
So this has a 22 module pack. So it's our 118 kilowatt, and that's dispersed throughout the floor of the vehicle. And we've also got a smaller pack version, which uses an 18 module, creates a little bit more footwell or foot garage in the back, optimized for rear
And batteries seem to be, whether it's Prius or a Tesla, I don't know anybody that's had to replace an entire battery pack, and I'm sure somebody will call and say, "Yes, my uncle had one."
There's that guy that recently blew up his Tesla because he had to change the battery pack. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
And I was down at the end of 7 years.
He just decided to blow it up.
Right.
Something like that. Instead of 230, I got 228 or 26. It wasn't.
That's right.
It wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad at all. So I thought that seems to be, and battery technology seems to be leaps and bounds, just growing constantly.
It's really coming on, especially over the last several years. Battery pack here is designed to live over the life cycle of the vehicle, and quite frankly, beyond. It has the opportunity to even have a second life, perhaps as stationary electric storage.
Yeah.
And it's single speed.
You want these battery packs to last a long
yes.
time.
Yeah. That seems
That's
to
really
be. I want to talk about some time with the engineers on that. Back, I think around 2007, Elon brought his prototype sports car, and it had a two-speed transmission.
In 2007.
Let me take it. I went out and I shipped it. I just blew second gear. I broke it because there was so much torque in the electric motor rather. So, and there's really no need for it, is it?
I mean, when you have the constant torque curve that you have with EV plus a 20,000 RPM.
I know, but as a car guy, in your mind, an engine spinning at 1,800 RPM is using less fuel than an engine spinning at 5,000.
Right.
So if an electric motor, would it use less electricity at less RPM?
Yeah, in our experience, we find that not to be the case, but I would let Peter speak to that in a little bit more detail.
We'll talk with the engineer a bit later about that, because, that's the funniest part about this, I was at one of the car things with a bunch of Lucid guys, and they're talking, electrics, and I felt like my mom when she come in the garage. Can I get you guys anything?
Yeah, right.
I'm ready to talk about camshafts and displacement.
Right.
Ohms and volts. Yeah, that's great. Can I get you coffee?
World.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Out of his wheelhouse.
So let's talk about what else we have here. We have obviously four-wheel discs all the way around.
Yeah, of course.
Regen braking when you get off, and that's adjustable as
it is. Yeah, we have a high and a low mode. We tend to prefer the high mode, so a pretty strong regen. You'll experience that, and that's part of our efficiency strategy as well.
The one thing I really loved, I had a Chevy Volt for about 7 years.
Wow.
I love the fact that I could pull those and regen without touching the brake with my foot.
Right.
I like the fact that it became like a game. As I went downhill, I would just slightly hold it and see if I could pick up on my. I mean, to me, I enjoyed that part of it, and that seems to be something that's leaving the EV market now.
Well, I think we're big believers in one-pedal driving because it's just a more efficient way to drive.
Right.
It's certainly a little bit of learning curve for some folks, and that's where I always say, okay, maybe start with the light regen and work your way into the high regen. But
I imagine the biggest problem is idiot customers that just don't read manuals. Nobody. I met one day I was driving home. I saw a guy with a 7 Series of BMW and a flat tire, and hey, can I help you out? He goes, yeah. There's no way to get the wheel off of this. I go, well, you got a center a plastic. There's a little metal tool in your if you open your owner's manual, you see a little aluminum tool that'll pop the cover. I don't think so. I said, well, give me your owner's manual. He opened the cover. It was still in the plastic. It had never been opened. And I could see it in there.
Come on,
I
man.
went, oh, here you go. See, and I popped it. He went, oh, and see, those are the lug nuts right there. He was stunned. It just made me laugh. So to me, trying to...
People don't know how to do anything nowadays, man.
Right.
Yeah. My favorite was this lady had a BMW, and it wouldn't work at night. She said as soon as it got dark out, the car wouldn't work. And the dealer's like, what's going crazy? So she goes in, she explains, watch, I'll put it in night. And she put it on N. The guy goes, no, that's neutral. And she goes, I thought D was daytime driving and N was nighttime. He says, no, that's nuts. That's
man.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's another level right there.
Welcome to America.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well,
come on.
Remember Audi with the braking and the judge ruled the car was possessed. Something
almost killed the company.
Yeah. Now, what else do we have that's different or new? Let's see. Is this leather?
Interior, man.
Yep. So in this version, we have a full Napa leather layout. We also offer the car in non-leather variants.
Right.
So we give you the option there. Here you can see our 32-inch 5K curved display,
right,
which is fully floating and ergonomically really nicely set up.
Yeah, nicely integrated.
Yeah,
very nice.
Yeah, so that was a big part. The center display is for all your kind of like core features and climate control.
Tesla, right?
It also retracts up into the unstreamed panel,
nice.
Which is nice.
The part that's really visually amazing is that it is smaller than the Taycan or the Model S.
Yeah.
I would have bet anything it's a bigger car because it looks like not an enormous car, but a bigger car.
Yeah.
But it isn't. I mean, is it because, much like the French with the Citroën, the wheels are way out at the corners?
It's a combination of things. The car sits low, so it's the cabin height is lower than a Model S,
right?
And it's got a long wheelbase, which creates that long, elongated aesthetic.
So what's the wheelbase? About 115 inches, something like that?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I like the little quarter window back here.
Gives a little bit of view out the side.
Yeah. Any retro style cues that you sort of...
Somebody just broke my quarter window to get into my car.
I went to China. They asked me to judge...
They got nothing either.
Car design contest. It's students, high schoolers in China.
Right.
And, here in America, the kids will have, it's got this from a 57 Chevy, it's got this from the...
Right.
But in China, they have no background of cars.
Yeah.
So some of the cars didn't have wheels. They look like eggs.
Right.
Or they look like saucer, or just because they had no background. And that's kind of what you're doing here. You're starting with a
little bit,
a clean sheet of paper. Yeah.
I mean, certainly, I think everybody has their aesthetic influences, and we wanted to have something very clean, very minimal, looked aerodynamic, looked technology forward, but certainly there's some form, comparison to say some Porsche or some Citroën type of treatments, but that wasn't the core inspiration.
Right. Now, looking aerodynamic and being aerodynamic, like to most people, they think a Countach looks aerodynamic.
This thing is the epitome of aerodynamic.
What is the coefficient of drag on this? Do you know?
So we're around 2.0. Okay. Hopefully going to drop below that with some more tweaks and refinements.
Well, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's really, and it's got a small frontal area, right? So it's the combination of
right, and you don't have to have air going through
very little
underneath, and so you can be smooth underneath without mufflers and
that's correct. Yeah,
differentials. And all
super clean underbody, minimized cooling, ideal for low drag.
Yeah, and it's amazing how much aerodynamics plays in that, isn't it?
It really does. I mean, it's part of our core efficiency strategy, and it, as you pointed out, it's not an easy thing to hit that kind of drag coefficient and still keep the car very aesthetically pleasing and well stanced on the road.
Right, because if it was a flat-out performance car, then you'd have downforce.
That's right.
You'd need a wing, and you're trying to, but you're not. You're not. Yeah.
That's right.
It's funny. It looks very French to me.
Yeah.
And it has.
We've heard that here and there, and it's not necessarily the intention.
But no, I mean that as a compliment because I like French stuff. I like the way they think. They don't just think performance. They think comfort. They think aerodynamics. French cars are always so comfortable. I mean,
absolutely,
it's amazing, and it does have that. I like. Well, over there, the DS, the way the wheels are way out.
That's right.
At the end, as far back as they can go. And that's what gives this that long wheels. Are these 21s or 19s?
These are our 21-inch Dream Edition wheels. Again, part of our aero strategy with the inserts to help simplify and cut drag.
Well, that's one thing I find. Like with 19s, you'll get about another 20 miles range.
I like them better when they pop out.
And what's the advantage of 21s?
Take the things
strictly people like the look?
I think it's a combination of performance and aesthetics. So you do sacrifice a little bit of range because of the unsprung weight.
Right.
And of course, the width of the tire actually adds drag back to the car.
Right. But a 19 will give you a softer ride.
It will give it a softer ride. In our case, we bump up the pressure on the 19s, and it actually helps with efficiency.
And what do you run for pressure in these, 40?
I think it's around that. It might be a little bit less.
Right. Okay, let's see. What else have we got?
My camera just...
Are these actually functional?
They are. Everything on the front and
I'm going to speed this up a little bit.
We get a little high pressure buildup under the headlight, and there's a vent that takes air in, releases it off the top, and pulls the airflow down past the mirror.
And what is this piece here?
That's our charge port.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, got to have one of those.
Gotcha. Okay. And charging is pretty much the same as any other electric?
It is. We run off of Electrify America network.
But you guys have some kind of trick charging circuit, don't you? It gives you 20 miles in like 3 minutes or 4 minutes or something?
So we're able to get up to 200 miles of range in about 10 minutes.
Wow, okay. Well, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, crazy fast.
That's what the 300 kilowatt system.
Right.
Wow.
Okay, can we open the front? Let's see what
Absolutely.
See what our... I hate the word frunk. It just seems...
It just kind of...
frunk, man.
Okay.
Well, so that's really spacious. We pulled out our bifold cover, but you have a double-decker setup. The front drive unit's right
throw
here.
Throw Leno in there.
And that gives you a ton of space for whatever. We'll be offering accessories so you can utilize the space how you like.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago, Mercedes came with one of their cars. It was, but you could see it was a converted gas to electric.
Right.
And the engine was high, and it took up the whole front.
That's right.
And then they got quickly disappeared. Then they went back and redid the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't use...
I mean, that's what the miniaturization of the drive units. Our drive units are about this big.
Right.
And fit it in a carry-on luggage piece. And so, if you think about that's incredibly power dense, and allows us to open all this up. We package the cooling in these corners, the headlights here. So it really opens up a lot of free space.
And what's the derivation of the name Lucid? Where's that?
That was early on when we were rebranding the company from our original company, which was Ativa. It's a battery technology.
Right.
And we worked for about 6 months to try and come up with the right name. And Lucid was on the list, and it was simple, kind of clear-minded, future-facing, and we ran with it.
It seems with electric cars, you can almost have a full-size spare tire again.
Right.
But nobody wants to do that.
Still not. Well, because clearly that nobody knows how to change a tire.
Yeah, but I mean, the times I've gotten a flat, instead of 20 minutes later I'm on the road again, I'm down for 3 days, and it's got to be flat-bedded, and it's driving me crazy.
I think in our case, always looking for extra space, always looking for weight reduction. It's a big opportunity there.
Just press it down?
You hit the switch.
Oh, okay. Well, very impressive. And this is all one piece of glass, isn't it?
That is. We get right from the cowl all the way through to this.
Yeah, I don't see the safe light guy coming out. Oh, yeah, no problem.
A little extra work there, but
is this glass or kind of a plastic?
No, it is glass. It's a laminate system.
And the trunk, let's take a look at the trunk.
Sure. Similar kind of clamshell.
Do the seats roll down?
They do, yeah. We can fold the seats down from here. We just pop these levers.
Oh, I see.
And they
look at that. Okay, so you could put skis or whatever you want.
Absolutely. We even have a ski pass-through in the center.
Yeah, right.
And this is also a double-decker setup back here as well.
Oh, okay, very nice.
So we have a little extra cargo there, and we have our tailored charging bag back here.
So on the road, you can plug it into 110.
Yeah, this was like your slow charger, just keep it trickling over in the garage. You get a nice wide opening through the back, which is cool.
Well, let's bring in our engineer, and we'll take a ride with him, and he can explain some of the technical stuff.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
So I'd like to bring in Peter Rawlinson, our CEO and CTO.
Peter, how are you?
Great to see you, Jane.
And there's the man with the plan.
Take a ride? Can you?
I can't wait. How about you?
Let's
the
do
boss.
It.
Let's do it.
He's got that proper Arizona accent. Oh, yeah, it's got quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So this is in its smooth setting. So it's in a softer ride for more luxurious sort of magic carpet ride. Right. Dampers are pretty soft, and the steering is in a relaxed mode.
And of course, the one thing we didn't discuss, obviously, it's four-wheel drive.
It's four-wheel drive, two motors.
Yeah, two motors, fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, do you guys build your own
four-wheel drive, two
Absolutely.
motors? That's great.
And we design, develop, and manufacture those motors in-house, and they're truly state-of-the-art, Jay.
I mean, to me, that's I say this on these videos all the time. That's the sign of a real company, is when you build your own engine or motor. You know, although sadly TVR did not succeed, I love the fact that they built that Speed 6 and it was tilted off to the side.
Totally. Speed 6 was great.
And I thought it was a great car.
Absolutely.
I think they just had probably fit and finish problems and things of that nature.
They had huge challenges. But I mean, you know, I couldn't agree more. The drivetrain technology is 100% in-house. Battery, motor, inverter, power electronics, all the software, designed and developed in California and manufactured with huge pride in Arizona. So this is 100% US.
Well, that's what I like. You know,
That's good, man.
The sort of devil is coming home now with all these supply chain problems and things made in China and other places that just don't hold up. Or just don't work.
Issues.
And then you're stuck.
In the industry.
You have all this material units, whatever you want to call them, sitting on the docks because we can't get pieces from somewhere else.
That's right. Now we do source internationally.
Of course,
we have to. For example, this
in order to stay competitive
from Japan.
Everybody
because,
does.
You know, that's where you get the best system from.
Right.
But I mean, predominantly the core EV technology, the motor, the inverter, the battery pack, and our Wonderbox technology, all in-house, all manufactured in Arizona in our purpose-built factory. And we've got a great team in Arizona. You know, there's a huge amount of Arizona pride goes into this car.
Right.
So the dampers are pretty soft and relaxed now.
I mean, it's amazing how with electronics you can fool people into thinking this is a lighter car than it is.
It's remarkable. It's remarkable. I mean, it feels light, doesn't it?
It's probably about 1,000 pounds heavier than a Dodge Hellcat.
Yeah.
But you've got another 400 or 500 horsepower.
Crazy.
The fact that the electronics can move about with such ease. I mean, it's
absolutely. And I mean, the space concept here really has helped because I mean, I was chief engineer at Lotus, and you know, I love your Lotus Elan. I've had a Lotus Elan since I've been 21 years old, and to me, having the agility, the smaller car agility, you just can't beat that. But we wanted to create this large interior in the form of a smaller, more compact, more agile car, and we were able to do that through the miniaturization of the electric powertrain, and the only way we could achieve that was design and develop it all in-house.
Right, and also the fact you start with a clean sheet of paper.
Totally.
As I was saying before, when I saw a very early Mercedes electric car, they had brought it. Obviously, it had been built on a chassis that was probably a gas engine, and adapted, and the engine was too high, and you know, just
totally.
So this clean sheet was
it's the only way to do a state-of-the-art electric car, and Model S proved that. Trying to adapt a platform from a gasoline origin is just almost a futile exercise. And this is one of the big issues that the traditional car companies face.
Oh, and I have a rear view screen here.
Yeah, and that works both ways.
Right. Oh, I see. When I turn this,
you get a little cameo that way.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. If I don't want to put it in sprint mode, this is sprint here.
So, yeah, you put
don't
sprint.
do it.
And then
could that be my default mode, or does it have to be?
You have to confirm each way.
Okay.
Now that will give you full horsepower.
Oh yeah, that's
That's not with launch. So you to experience. We'll find a strip where you can experience launch.
Holy.
You know, I never use launch control. I just think you're damaging components. To me, it doesn't make any sense to twist metal. You know, to me, I like a rolling start, and then I nail it.
Well, I'm exactly the same, and that's why we actually didn't gear this really. This is our dual motor. We didn't gear this for a crazy 0 to 60 time. This is 2.4 seconds to 60.
Well,
but it's got amazing.
That's a crazy time.
2 seconds it's a 60, man.
is it's rolling. You're on the freeway and you just want to get this gap in the traffic.
Right.
And it's that mid-range punch, that sort of 60 to 70 mile an hour punch. This is and above. That's when this car really.
And it's funny because with early electric cars, that was always the weak point.
It was.
The initial acceleration.
Yes.
But from above 60 miles an hour, 1, 2, 3 kick,
You're so right. You're so right. Because it had the power, it had the torque, but it didn't have that power at the top end. So now the dampers have tightened up a little bit.
You got to put it on launch
You're getting
control,
a bit
man.
more
Come on.
feedback through the steering wheel. The ratios.
You got to show us what it does. Come on.
Can't change that. But the feedback and tactile controls have heightened.
Right. Well, it does shrink around you. It feels smaller once you're in it.
When you're in it, yeah.
It's so funny, that visual thing of seeing it from the outside.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, I put the right.
You get it.
You got to get in the back seats, man.
And it gets faster. It gets,
that's 100 miles an hour.
No, that's when it gets in its stride.
Yeah.
It's that
That's
60
100 miles an
to
hour.
when you're not on the public highway, it's the 60 to 140 that this car is sensational.
That's what sells it.
That's what.
I'd like to save the planet. I'd like to do all those things. I think that'd be very nice. But the fact I can do it and get the horsepower.
Yeah.
That's, I always say this, for new technology to see, it can't be equal. It's got to be superior.
Totally.
At every single level.
Totally.
The Wankel was a great idea, but the mileage was a little bit less, the oil consumption a little bit more. Sorry, it was a hard sell,
We're selling this car on its superior driving experience.
Right.
And you've got the environmental credentials to boot.
I mean, it's funny now because you'll go to, I predict in the future you'll have drag races and then a special class for gas cars.
Oh, I think so.
Because they'll be slower, like you would with flatheads.
Yeah. Okay, you're right, that's going to happen, isn't it?
Mark Twain used to say, I like progress, it's change I don't like, And that's really the problem with most people. They go, steam ran everything up to about 1911, and then internal combustion from till just about now, and now you're into full electric again.
And back to electric, full circle. Yeah. You feel that mid-range punch. You see, it just wants to go.
No matter how bad a day you're having, that will cure it.
That will cure. Let's go.
No lean. Look at that.
You feel the agility and the response in these bends.
Really good.
It's a sports car.
It's really good.
I'm glad you like it.
No, it's terrific. It really is.
But we've put our heart into this car, Jay. There's been it's a whole team effort.
Yeah, you better.
There's no one person. We've got just a massive, brilliant engineering team from the electric powertrain to the ride and handling, suspension design, body structures, right across the board, and the software team.
That's what's fun about passion projects. People get so into it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's a work of love.
Yeah, we always talk about it. I remember the old days when the big automakers bring in a guy from Maytag or Whirlpool or some other product, Zenith TVs, to help sell. But they weren't engineers.
No.
To me, the really successful companies are the ones that have real engineers. I mean, everybody at GM now is an engineer. Mary Barra.
That's right. Cheers.
Grace. I mean, they're all engineers.
Jim Farley.
Right. There's no. This is Bob from products.
It's gone full circle. I never thought I'd get to run a company as an engineer. I was in the wrong career.
Right.
And suddenly it all changed. So you just can't plan these things.
That's right. I mean, you just punch it. I mean,
and it wants to go. It wants to keep going. It's actually, at 100, it's beginning to get in its stride.
Yeah.
Really, it's a 200 mile an hour car. We've geared it to 168.
Right.
We've geared it to 200. It's software limited to 168 because of the availability of tyres right now.
Right.
But it's geared to about 205 miles an hour at 20,000 RPM.
And 20,000 RPM is quite high for an electric motor.
Yeah, it is.
I know Tesla has just developed that carbon rotor.
That's right.
Which I think is a breakthrough, isn't that a breakthrough? I think that's something.
Well, the carbon filament wound rotors are used in racing. They're used in Formula E to hold the motor together because the centrifugal forces are so great.
Right.
But we've managed to achieve our 20,000 without resorting to the carbon because so we're saving that extra cost, which is great.
But I like the fact that there are now hot rod electric.
Isn't it wonderful? It's wonderful. Yeah.
Not the idea of taking an electric motor that is used from some other sort of thing.
And Ford is providing a crate motor now, electric motor.
Yeah.
It's great. The world's changing. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't get people who don't get it. To me, it's like rap and rock and roll. It's both music. You can like one more than the other, but you can't deny that they're both music.
Exactly.
And one will eventually win out. And obviously, it's going to be electric. But see, I think the electric will be the great savior of the internal combustion engine, because then those of us that have old cars and Duesenbergs and MGs, whatever it might be, you use it on the weekend like you would a snowmobile or something for record. I mean, the idea of sitting in traffic in a 426 Hemi getting 6 miles per gallon seems ridiculous.
It's not fun. People still use horses. It's for pleasure. You ride a horse for pleasure.
Well, Peter, thank you very much for showing us this car.
Thank you, sir.
I certainly appreciate it. It's very impressive, and it's built in America by Welshmen. So there you go.
I'm thrilled that you like it.
Thank you. No,
honestly, I'm overwhelmed that you endorse it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. So kind of disappointed that he didn't put it on launch controls and let it go, right? I think we all wanted to see him kind of blast off in that thing, but that's fine. You know, Jay Leno, that's the kind of guy he is. He's not just gonna, you know, he said it himself, he doesn't like to blast off. He likes to go from a rolling stop, and then he likes to punch it, which is cool. But one very important thing that he said towards the end of that video was that he feels like the electric car is gonna save a combustion engine, right? So, I mean, if somebody like him, he can, you know, he has a bunch of cars and he's all into it, and he sees it, the future, right? That electric cars they're the future. They're gonna take over. They're gonna be your daily drivers, and then the gas burning cars will be your baby, the one you take out on the weekend or whatnot, right? So, you know, for us, obviously, us Lucid investors that invested early, we already believe in it, and you know, so right now that we're investing in it early on, it's gonna pay. You know, it's gonna pay crazy, right? We're gonna be really glad that we invested in Lucid and a couple other companies. You know, I myself invested in GGPI, which will hopefully eventually, well, it's going to merge into Polestar, and I really like their vehicles as well, and I invested in a few other ones, right? But yeah, it's the future, man. So I just kind of wanted to bring you guys this video if you haven't seen it, let you know my thoughts on it. I think Lucid is going to be doing great. I think that they dropped it at a good time right before the PIF lockup expires, so you know, more people kind of get a little more exposure to it, and you know, if the stock does happen to take a little dip because it expires, and the investment fund starts to sell a little bit, then more people might want to be inclined to buy the dip, right? So they might say, "Oh, well, it went down. Let me go ahead and get a position started here." So I'll definitely be doing a video on the stock later on, but I just wanted to kind of, you know, bring you guys this video with Jay Leno, and if you guys hadn't seen it, then I'm glad you guys watched it with me. And like always, I want to thank you guys for watching my videos and liking and subscribing. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.